Hello and welcome to the Festival of Media Asia Pacific in Singapore. I'm absolutely delighted to say I'm joined by Dean Dacko from Malaysia Airlines and Prashant Kumar from IPG Mediabrands. We've just come off stage, literally, and from what I can honestly say is one of the most fascinating and emotional speeches I think I've ever witnessed at an event like this. It was absolutely fascinating to hear how the brand is looking to recover and thrive and prosper following the events of last year. One of the most interesting things I felt was that you said that very early on you realised you were on your own in this situation. There was no guidebook, there was no manual of how to cope with a situation like this. Does it something that you feel that you now have a real lesson that you can teach the marketing world about how to cope with something so unprecedented?
I think from one of the contexts of it and some of the conversations I've had with a number of different CMOs from around the world is that one of their first sort of assumptions or recognitions is that they could never imagine themselves or their companies or their brands being situated in the kind of environment, the kind of challenge that we had. There's such a separation of what we went through versus what they could ever see themselves doing. But one of the things that is very important for everyone to recognize in terms of all those marketers out there is that what we had done, what we managed, what we leveraged was never intended to manage a crisis, was to manage those events. We never ever imagined that we would be dealing with one incident, never mind two. But the only way that we managed to successfully get through that was by leveraging the tools that we had built really for purely business purposes. So things that we were intending to do that were all about a transformation into a digital capability is what we used and learned. So the message going out and the kinds of learnings that we had in terms of education to other marketers out there is the reality is what you need to do in your own business to just engage and participate and be part of a type of relationship, personalized relationship with your customer is something that you need to do regardless of something bad happening. And the other aspect of it is that the notion of marketing today and the kind of involvement and interaction you have with your customers is something that you need to do anyway. So we just happened to fall ourselves into a situation where we had one of the biggest and two of the biggest events that ever happened in history. But the actual practical application of what we were building, what we were doing, and how we leveraged it was something that was purely in a commercial context.
Prashant, during the speech you crunched the numbers, and obviously this is one of the crucial elements that if this crisis had occurred 20 years previously, it would be a very different conversation. It happened in the social media, in the digital age, millions and millions of conversations and conspiracy theories, frankly, which you had to deal with, you had to go out and positively engage with the audience. How much of a challenge was that?
Definitely, since crisis spreads at the speed of light in today's day and time, that made the whole situation even more difficult. But like Dean said, even though every crisis would have its own unique mood and spirit and circumstances, if you have the right infrastructure, and that needs a certain vision and a certain preemption, if you have the right infrastructure to deal with it, whether it's in terms of social media machine or whether it's in terms of digital marketing, then you are extremely well placed to be able to roll out whatever you intend to in a very fast time. So yes, it was definitely a challenge, but we had the right machine, and hence we acted on our choices at the same speed at which the crisis was unfolding. So that was good. Yeah.
And obviously, while you mentioned that you must continue to go forward with what happened in mind and being respectful, there does seem a sort of sense of confidence that Malaysia Airlines will get back to where it was. It will thrive and will prosper in the future.
Again, where we found ourselves, when the immediate reaction to MH370 is we knew that we needed to go forward. There was no option to not move forward. All of the activities that we undertook from a commercial standpoint were intended to have the right impact on our business. And what we've seen over the space of the last 10 months, as we got back into a business as usual environment, is that the response from the customers has been very, very strong. One of the things that we've learned and one of the things that we're very, very pleased about is the strength and resiliency of the Malaysia Airlines brand. It's amazing the amount of scrutiny, the amount of attention, the amount of negative comments and associations that came at us over all over the world. But nonetheless, the brand is staying intact. And what we're seeing in terms of the results from a purely business perspective is that we recovered at least $1.5 billion in terms of the potential losses that we would have suffered had we not done what we did. And we're not out of the woods by any means. The reality is that it's very difficult to be profitable as an airline, regardless of our situation. And so we still have a lot of work to do with respect to restructuring, repositioning, retooling, and then moving forward with a new environment, with a new type of organization and structure. But we're very confident that we're going to be successful. We're very confident that the people still have trust and confidence in our brand and what we do and the service that we deliver. And we are taking that, and part of the reality is that, if you look back at how we continued to keep flying with 400 flights a day and almost 47,000 passengers a day, and the integrity that our staff maintained and the level of commitment and professionalism that we maintained during all of that period of time gives us a huge amount of confidence that we can continue to move forward. And we're going to do that with a greater sense of commitment, a greater sense of energy, a greater sense of knowing that we went through possibly the ultimate worst of what anybody could imagine, and we're going to come out the other side even better, stronger, healthier, and more capable of moving forward.
Thank you very much both. Really appreciate your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the festival.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.